Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to the very last day of March. And if I'm ever going to make another video in March, of course, well, this is my last opportunity. And by that I mean March of 2020. So never again will I be able to make another video in March of 2020 after today. So, yep. And before they get started on their noise with cutting the grass, which they always do, I'd like to make a quick short video about something. Well, there's a number of topics I could have chosen to talk about, and some probably a lot more pleasant than this one. But the one thing that I'm deciding to make a video about today, which I hope will be very short, is the fact that if I've said it once, I've said it many times. Farting is absolutely disgusting, and I never do it, or at least not in my clothes. And of course, if you're not fully clothed or you're in the bathroom, it doesn't count. It's like in the does not exist category socially. So yeah, that's the way I feel about it. And it just makes me so angry. I just can't even believe I'm even talking about this. But farting in and of itself, it just really bothers me, like nothing else. Like I just can't even imagine, myself doing this. But it really just makes me so mad when some people, you'll be in the middle of a conversation with them and they'll just let one go, and it's like, ugh, just freaking pisses me off. I hate to say it, but it just really makes me mad. But and the reason I want to talk about this is because, well, the stupid coronavirus or COVID-19 thing has really got me homesick for my mom. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that my dad is just absolutely disgusting. Like, I would never say that to his face, but probably one of the worst things in the world is for him to be home more than usual, and for me to have to be in the same room with him even more than I otherwise would be. But like I say, he pays my bills for the most part, and I would never actually say that to his face. I don't tell my parents the things that they do that really annoy me, because I just never was a very confrontational, combative, in your face kind of kid, and that's probably why I'm still with my parents. I never was one of those teenagers that would be like, rude to my parents and just get in their face and tell them what they were doing that I didn't like. But so yeah, and that has a lot to do with the fact that my much younger sister is living on her own or with a fiance, whereas I'm still kind of going back and forth between my mom and my dad. But anyway, it's just it just really makes me mad, makes me so freaking angry that people just when people talk about men and women, and the differences between them, they never ever seem to mention the fact that women just have this, even worse than men have, about crying. Everybody talks about how men, are ashamed to cry and they don't want to, let anyone see them cry. Well, it is a much bigger taboo for a woman to fart, in her clothes in particular, in front of someone, particularly of the opposite sex. And I don't know about you, but there's a lot more urges, to do that, or, have a BM, than there are to cry in a day's time. And it's just, to me, there is a much bigger taboo, about women farting than there is about males crying. You know what I'm saying? It would be a much greater embarrassment if, for whatever reason, a girl or a woman, farted, heaven forbid, more. I'm not even going to think about that, in front of a man, than if a man cried in front of a woman. So, yeah, and it just makes me so angry. And, when I read things about, the differences between men and women, and how men have these horribly stained underpants, all their lives, they call them skid marks, which I find totally disgusting. I've never had that in my life, praise God. I've never had a skid mark on any kind of underwear. And it just makes me so angry that they'd rather blame everything else except the fact that men fart a lot more than women. All this BS about body hair, that is just freaking, the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because I sure have a lot of it, And believe me, I have plenty of butt hair, which, no, I'm not going to show you. But, and I don't, do anything to get rid of it. And never, 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 never have I found it hard to wipe my bottom because I have hair, okay? So that's just a freaking excuse. And, all these stupid excuses, that they make are just ridiculous. But no one ever, seems to understand that there's this fundamental difference, between the way men think about farting and women. And a lot of, these horrible looking underpants or, briefs or whatever it is that they wear, versus our skid free panties, well, I would hope most women do. I mean, I don't really know about all of them, My sister was definitely an exception, and she's another one. I would never say that to her face, She definitely had her share of wet farts or sharts or farts gone wrong, if you know what I mean. But I never, ever, ever, ever did, okay? I never, and I'm not just saying that. I mean, I never, never in my life have I ever tried to fart, say like Philip Seymour Hoffman, and had a little shit come out instead. Never once in my life has that ever happened. And it has everything to do with the fact that I have this mental hang up. It's almost like I don't know how to explain it. It's like I'm potty trained on a whole new level. I am trained to withhold 3 different functions. Peeing, pooping, and farting. And, guys only concern themselves with, well, pretty much 1 and 2, and then even that's not the end of the world. And that's why it just infuriates me when people don't understand, why it is significant to me that Angelica literally pooped her pants and Rugrats Go Wild. They just don't get the difference, between, like, let's say that instead of her, it would have been like a character. Let's pretend for a moment Harold, since he's a 3-year-old on the show, but he's a boy. Or Timmy McNulty, he's a 4-year-old boy on the show. Or, like, just another character, or let's just say that since Chucky is potty trained, him. Or even one of the adults, like one of the dads. People just don't understand, they just think, oh, well, she's just another Rugrat pooping in a diaper or whatever it is that she wears, like, they don't get how that is just light years away from Dill doing it in the first movie and, Phil talking about it in the Paris movie, the second one, and, a kid in her class named Willie doing it in preschool days, and, all Chucky's potty failures, so to speak. They just don't get, they don't get why I'm so freaking obsessed with that, and why, there's just this big taboo, about female bowel functions, and, it's sort of like girls don't fart and poop. It's kind of like boys don't cry, only it's more, of a serious thing, It's like a much greater taboo than boys and their emotions. Is what we feel about our bodily functions, particularly our butthole. And, and it's just, like, I don't know, just everything about farting, it just disturbs me, because I know that, it's just one little crossway turd from a shart. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you happen to do it at the wrong time after eating the wrong thing, it can become a shart or a wet fart. And, it's just the way I feel about it is like I wanted to, like, smack my little sister, so hard, so many times, when she would just fart in my room or around me. And I wanted to just, one time she did it in my car when I dropped her off right before school. She just left me with this horrible smelling fart, and I just wanted to slap her in the face. She was like freaking, like, what, 16, 17 years old, and that's just ridiculous. I mean, that would be disgusting enough, for a little toddler girl that just got potty trained yesterday, let alone a teenager that should have had teens of years to master the art of not doing that in your clothes or around anybody, or not ever let anyone know unless you are smack dab on that toilet. And, in that case, it's like, it's like it magically doesn't exist because you're on the toilet. But you don't ever let anyone hear you fart through your clothes or smell you as a woman. That's just in the girl code. Like, I don't care if your hair is short, or you like girls, or you wish you were a guy. I don't really care, but women, in my mind, I think women in particular, ideally it would be men and women, but obviously we can't do anything about them. But I mean, girls should shame one another out of the habit of ever farting through their underwear, like men. Because, like I say, I mean, I think that's how men have these unsightly brown marks in their pants all the time. And, it has nothing to do with body hair, because that wouldn't explain why it happens when they're well before puberty. You know what I'm saying? And why hairy women don't have the same thing. Because I don't, and I'm a hairy ass woman. But, so yeah, it's just, I know I've been rambling on too long talking about this, but it's just, a female farting is just such a big taboo thing. And I'm just totally appalled, like, by even the suggestion that I ever would do such a thing.